Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they deported at least 72 people to Haiti on Monday, including a 2-month-old baby and 21 other children. The removal sent vulnerable infants back to Haiti as it is experiencing major political arrest. Now, this comes on the heels of Joe Biden saying he's not going to deport anybody. There's going to be a 100-day moratorium on deportations and removals. But there is a difference, I guess if they're being technical, there is a difference between removal and inadmissibility. So when you come into a border crossing or when you come into an airport and you're turned back, you are found inadmissible. So perhaps they're getting very technical on what they plan on doing for these first 100 days. They found 72 people from Haiti who were coming presumably to apply for asylum. They found them inadmissible and returned them. Now, the expulsions were carried out not because they were being denied asylum. They were carried out under a 77-year-old public health statute called Title 42. It was first invoked by the Trump administration. It was put into effect at the start of coronavirus outbreak to prevent people from coming in who potentially could infect Americans with COVID. We thought Joe Biden was going to stop that. He hasn't. A spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security said the policy would continue for new arrivals at the border indefinitely until the Biden administration reviews the entire policy and has facilities for housing migrants that want to come and apply for asylum. So even though we have a lot of talk by Joe Biden about changing immigration laws and moratoriums that got overturned by a federal judge, and we promise not to deport anybody, at least in one circumstance, which is right here, the Trump administration policies are being continued to be followed by Joe Biden. They are carrying out inadmissibility orders, finding people inadmissible and returning them to their country due to the COVID outbreak. A spokesperson for Joe Biden said, as this administration has stated from the very outset, our capacity at the border will not transform overnight, due in large part to the damage done over the last 4 years to our asylum system and infrastructure. We are committed to restoring our asylum system and building an improved system. Now, the moratorium that the administration made on deportations, those are people found physically in the United States, which is different than inadmissibility, which is being turned away at the border. It still has exceptions for suspected terrorists, dangerous criminals, and as part of their policy, arrivals at the border after November 1st of last year. So even if you came into America and you arrived after November 1st, you would still possibly be deportable under the Biden administration. Yo, Vanessa?
This is a lot.
I think it's a lot because, publicly it's saying one thing, but in reality, it's doing something different. Don't, if you can't change the policy, then fine. Okay, which I don't believe, by the way, because there's plenty of ways to do things. As I've said on the show, plenty of times, if people have a reasonable fear of returning to their country and they have made a credible claim for political asylum, and you want to make sure they show up to a hearing, put an ankle bracelet on them. Government has lots of them.
Right.
So don't say we're going to stop deportation for 100 days, and then all of a sudden this happens. Because that's not really being honest. If you want to be technical, well, we're finding somebody inadmissible, we're not deporting them. But to the general public, that's being dishonest. I voted for Joe Biden, but I got to call it as I see it.
No, absolutely. I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the other big news of the day is there's another impeachment of President Trump, who is no longer our president. Now, the Senate rejected an attempt yesterday to derail Donald Trump's impeachment trial by getting it declared unconstitutional. Senators voted 56-44 that the trial is in fact constitutional. The argument was impeachment. We talked about this yesterday. Impeachment is to remove somebody from office, but if the guy's already out of office, how could you remove him? It's moot.
Right.
Therefore, unconstitutional. Moot meaning irrelevant now because he's no longer in office. The argument for impeachment is that somebody needs to be held accountable for your actions. And if you say you can't impeach somebody after they have left office, then what you're saying is, for the last month or two that somebody is in office, they're untouchable. What was actually quite comical about the whole entire thing, I had not watched the impeachment proceedings yesterday because I was busy being a lawyer, but I did watch highlights after our show that evening. And quite funny was Trump's lawyer arguing, this is the wrong venue. If you feel he committed a crime, go arrest him. I never heard a defense say, my client is guilty, go arrest him, go get him. That was quite an argument.
What?
Yes,
Wow.
That was one of his arguments. Now, 6 GOP senators joined with Democrats to say they believe the trial is in fact constitutional. Only Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, who had previously supported an effort by Senator Rand Paul that would have declared the trial unconstitutional, he flipped. So at least in that end of one day, one Republican flipped in favor of, going after Trump. So presumably, if you voted to say that this proceeding is constitutional, presumably you will also vote to convict him. Now, they need, in addition to these 6 GOP senators, they need another 10 to flip in order to actually convict him. You need 10 more Republicans to turn this into a conviction for Donald Trump and prevent him from ever taking office again. It started, other than perhaps Mitt Romney, when this whole thing started, we didn't think any Republicans were going to flip and try to convict Trump. We're now up to 6. They've been playing very, 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 tough videos to watch all day. I wonder if these videos that you see where the mob is coming into the Capitol and you hear them saying, let's go hang Pence. Let's go get AOC. Let's go get Nancy Pelosi. As if they were going to, and there was a man outside who built a guillotine waiting for Pence. People were going to kill, perhaps, at least using those words, our elected officials. Many of them, I don't know all of them, many of them were white supremacists carrying Confederate flags. Never in the history of the United States of America has a Confederate flag been inside the Capitol building, even during the Civil War. Now today, the 100 senators continued to hear the arguments from both sides. Donald Trump was urging people. He was urging people in this crowd to go take back the election. People who work for Donald Trump within the administration, they were monitoring chats on the internet for weeks, encouraging people to come hear Donald Trump on January 6th. Now, House Democrats formally began presenting their case today after winning the right to proceed, even though Donald Trump, as we said, has left office. They saw a lot of chilling video footage documenting last month's deadly assault on the Capitol. Some of the footage showed rioters asserting that they were responding to Trump's orders right before they marched off to the Capitol. Trump told them when he was on that podium at that rally, he said, go to the Capitol and fight like hell. Now, Representative Jamie Raskin, a Democrat from Maryland and the lead impeachment manager, he opened the prosecution's arguments by saying, the evidence is going to show that Donald Trump clearly incited the January 6th insurrection. It will show that Donald Trump surrendered his role as commander-in-chief and became the inciter-in-chief of a dangerous insurrection. Insurrection, by the way, for those who don't know the meaning, it's to overturn a government. He told them to fight like hell, and they brought us hell that day. Raskin also raised the role of racism in the riot, just like I did, and quoted one of the black officers who battled the mob and was subjected to racist taunts from attackers that was, according to witness accounts and video, overwhelmingly white. Now, what is interesting about Representative Jamie Raskin is he's a constitutional professor before he was a congressman. His son committed suicide on December 31st. 25-year-old son had mental health issues, and his son committed suicide on December 31st, 2020. 7 days.
Oh, wow.
7 days before this happened. His family just finished burying their son. They came back from mourning their son on January 5th. He was with his family on January 6th in his office in the Capitol when this happened. They had to barricade themselves in. His other children thought they were going to die. And once this was all eventually calmed down, he started working that evening to put together this impeachment trial.
So Brett, I really want to know, because we've talked about like why some of the Republicans would have been for Trump is like, to save their jobs and, to make sure that they still, like I said, stayed, in their job. But like, so we have to get 10 more, you said, 10 more Republicans in order to do it. What would be the reason they would actually like not, vote to impeach him?
They want
now, like
because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And when you're a senator, you have power, and you don't want to lose that power, and you will wiggle your way and cringe your way and put your hands over your eyes or put a blanket over your head and make pretend these things didn't happen, because I want to stay in power. Because Donald Trump raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and he told all of these senators, he said, if you go against me, I'm going to put a candidate against you in the next election. You won't be a senator anymore. Sad, and pathetic. Sad and pathetic. Now, what's also very interesting, I read a statistic, and I'll let you talk in a second, but I'll throw this statistic out at you too. More people have left the Republican Party after this presidential election than left any other political party in the history of the United States, as far as they've been keeping records of this. So the Republicans are losing people who are saying something here is wrong, although their base, the people who vote, the people who are active, they're sticking, and they're being sold a story that's not true.
But he still needs to be held accountable for everything as well. And this would just be, even though we've been talking about this impeachment for some time, like this would only be the beginning of opening up a whole can of worms, because imagine going into every event, like walking everything through, leading us here. So even though we thought we weren't talking Trump in 2021, it seems like we still got the pumpkin in our timeline here.
Now I'll give you this too. All right. William Calhoun, one of the rioters who got arrested, posted on Facebook, "The first of us who got upstairs kicked in Nancy Pelosi's office door and pushed down the halls towards her inner sanctum, the mob howling with rage. Crazy Nancy probably would have been torn into little pieces, but she was nowhere to be seen. Had she been in her office, they would have killed her. Had they found Pence, they would have brought him out to a guillotine." If this is not a crime to tell people to go do this, what's a crime?
Yeah.
Right.
What is a crime?
Right.
What prevents you from being president? If this doesn't prevent you from being president, what does?
Yeah.
People get arrested for attempts. These were orders.
These were orders. And by the way, there's no such thing, and we've said it a million times, there's no such thing as absolute free speech. It doesn't exist anywhere. You don't have the absolute right to go tell people to commit crimes and commit violence. You don't have a right to tell people to overthrow the U.S. government. There is certain speech that in America that is not protected under the First Amendment, that is so harmful that they don't protect it.
And that's exactly why he needs to get impeached.
Yes.
Because it needs to teach the people, or, we never know who will become president. We never know if we'll have another Donald Trump. So it has to get the message across that even after your presidency, if you mess up like this, if you try the law like this, you will get impeached. So they need to make an example out of him.
I think
I
back.
agree.
I think back to Abraham Lincoln. If you ever, read up on Abraham Lincoln a little bit, he had to bribe, twist arms, do almost anything to get enough senators to abolish slavery and pass that amendment that abolishes slavery. And he did everything he could to basically convince people to do it. And I think, I don't think we have an Abraham Lincoln right now, but I would love to see if we have somebody go in behind closed doors. I hope it's happening. I doubt it, but I hope it's happening. That behind closed doors, they're being politicians, okay? And they are doing what they need to do to get 10 more votes. I really hope they do.
I do too.
I
really
doubt
do.
it.
Agreed.
I doubt it, but I hope so. Meanwhile, prosecutors in Georgia, they started a criminal investigation into Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the Georgia state elections. And remember, that was from a phone call Trump made to Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, if I'm pronouncing his name right, in which Trump pressured him to find enough votes to help him reverse the loss. Fani Willis, she's a Democratic prosecutor in Fulton County, that's Atlanta, sent a letter today to numerous officials in state government, including Raffensperger, requesting that they preserve documents. Now, the violence at the Capitol on January 6th, which we were just talking about, followed weeks of false claims by Donald Trump that election fraud deprived him of victory, including in Georgia, where he lost by only 12,000 votes. Now, for 2 months after Biden was declared the winner, Trump attacked officials in Georgia, and eventually they did not bow to his pressure and certified the results for Georgia. And you want to know what? It's not ending there. A voting technology company swept up in a baseless conspiracy theory about the 2020 election, about stolen votes, about fraud. They filed a $2.7 billion lawsuit against Fox News and some of its hosts, including Rudy Giuliani and Trump's lawyer, Sidney Powell. Now, the lawsuit filed by Smartmatic claims that the parties involved worked together to wage a disinformation campaign that has threatened the company's survival. After Trump's election loss, his allies pushed those false theories that the voting systems were rigged against him. Smartmatic says the lies have cost the company hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, as a result of this, Fox Business News #1 rated show, Lou Dobbs, who is a pro-Trump, longtime Trump supporter on Fox Business News, he was named in this lawsuit, and he has been saying that the election was stolen from Donald Trump, and he was using as part of the evidence that these voting machines, partly made by Smartmatic voting machines, were fraudulent and they were not counting the votes properly. He's been fired from Fox now as soon as this lawsuit started. Now, in one of Trump's first statements since leaving the White House, Trump said he praised Lou Dobbs. He was great. Nobody loves America more than Lou. He had a large, loyal following that's going to be watching closely his next move. Now, CNN was told that this was partly a business decision too, because after all of this insurrection and voting fraud stuff, advertisers, even though Lou Dobbs was a #1 rated program, they couldn't get advertisers to advertise on the program. Nobody wanted to be associated with it. And of course, we still have coronavirus, guys. Yes.
Unfortunately.
Our friends at Johns Hopkins University now says 107 million coronavirus cases worldwide, 59.9 million people have recovered, 469,000 people dead in America. Now, 1 in 10 Americans, of which I am not one of them, nearly 32 million people, they've gotten at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. And you want to know what's happening since we've gotten at least 10% of Americans?
What's happening?
Even though we still have a ravaging virus going around our country, the numbers are going down. Now,
are they?
Now you can say they're going down. You can say they're going down because people are wearing masks. You can say they're going down because people are social distancing. My opinion is nobody, no more people are wearing masks than before. And if anything, people are doing less social distancing. I think it's the vaccine.
Yeah.
Do you see people social distancing? Do you see more people wearing masks? I don't know. What is your opinion on that?
I'm hoping that it is the vaccine. I actually just had a conversation with my mom. She's a little nervous because, people are telling her, oh, don't get the vaccine because about 143 people just passed away, and they said it was because of the vaccine. My little brother, who works for Obama, he's very big on, he had to get the vaccine. So he's been telling the family we should get the vaccine. So, we're getting words from everywhere. So I'm really hoping that it is going down because of the vaccine. I can't really quote and say that this is a fact, but I do have a friend that does. Remember, I told you about my friend that works in the hospital in New York, and they did say that a lot of that New York cases are actually going up, but they're not really saying it in the press, in the media. But from her hospital, like the stats, they are. So
that's interesting because I'm reading they're going down. So you never know what the truth is.
Right, but I'm saying in New York, so it's just a toss-up. It's like you're getting all this news from everywhere. I'm just hoping that it is, because of the vaccine. My mom was like, so what do you think I should do? I'm like, Mom, I don't know.
How old is your mother?
Get it.
Are we allowed to talk about your mom's age?
Yeah, she's in her 60s.
Let's round it.
What? Round it. She's older than
me?
She's
in her 60s.
Okay. Your mother should. Your mother should take it.
She should take it, right?
Absolutely, because she has a more likely chance of getting ill and severely ill and hospitalized and dying by taking the vaccine than the chance of getting ill as a reaction to the vaccine. So if you weigh the two, you go with the odds. And it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned at 60s. Now, at your age, as a healthy young man in his 30s, that's a different decision. Because you have to say to yourself, but the same thing with Vanessa. The odds that if I get COVID, will I be severely ill? There's still a chance you will. There's young people who die and there's young people who are sick. But that's a much smaller chance.
Yeah. Funny thing is,
your mom should. If I spoke to your mom, I would tell her to do it. I hope she's watching.
Listen, I swear on everything. While I was talking to her, I said, funny thing, I was like, if you were talking to my boss, Brad, he would tell you to do it.
Right.
I swear I told her.
It's true. Right. She should do it. Yeah.
Like Star Girl Mika saying, more people are wearing masks, but the social distancing. And that happened to me earlier today when I was getting breakfast. Like, there was a woman that literally, I don't know how I didn't. We both had our masks on, but she insisted on being super close. Like, ma'am, if you could just give me some space here. So I think in New York, we're still figuring out the social distancing thing.
Do you think we're going to be social distancing for a while? Even if, let's assume we get COVID under control, people are just going to get used to staying away from everybody?
I think so.
Yeah.
I
Me too.
So.
Yeah, it gets very behavioral, right?
I think it's that moment where people finally realize, personal space.
Right.
Arm's reach.
Maybe.
That wasn't something we really did before.
Maybe.
I don't know if I like that though. Because I don't mind that with strangers because I don't care. But I don't want my family to always think in the back of their mind I can't. I'm so excited to see my my son or my cousin, my nephew, but.
You want to reach out and
but
give everyone a
to
hug.
have them constantly think that in the back of their mind. I don't like that. That's not a way to live in fear.
Yeah.
So.
We're not doing anything humpy today, so don't get too excited. Did you like White Castle when middle of the night, guys? Do you ever do that?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. I'm all my friends do. I'm not a White Castle.
You're not a White
guy.
Castle. Oh, I haven't done it. Yeah, once you hit, I have to be honest with you. Once you're over 22 years old, it's really hard to go to White Castle. All right, I think it's 18 to 22 type of thing.
And then it's a New York thing as well.
Yeah.
We didn't really have. I don't even think we have White Castle in California.
But I'm going to tell you something. Love is in the air at White Castle right now, And we're not talking about the burgers. Okay? Now, COVID might have prevented the chain from offering indoor dining for the past year, but it's not going to stop them from providing a unique dining experience for Valentine's Day. This year, you can take your boo to the White Castle restaurant, and it's going to transform its classic drive-in, complete with car hop service, allowing customers to celebrate the holiday while remaining socially distanced. So what they are going to do is you can take your boo for Valentine's Day and say, babe, we're going to go in our car. We're going to drive to the parking lot of the White Castle, and somebody inside at White Castle is going to dress up in a weird costume and hand us our burger. Happy Valentine's Day.
And this is at every White Castle?
I believe so. Now you have to admit, they believe, the White Castle believes they're going to be in big demand for this. So you have to call and make a reservation in advance. You just can't show up with your car to the drive-thru. You got to make the reservation in advance, where you are going to be greeted once you arrive by a White Castle team member who will take your order. Happy Valentine's Day.
First of all, I think it's just a really sad idea, just a sad situation if that is your Valentine's dinner. So,
now, I mean, it's a good marketing attempt.
I want you to know something. According to White Castle, you want to hear this statistic?
There's a statistic.
We have White Castle statistics. Our crew is like crackerjack today. All right,
they're on it.
They are on it. All right, 30,000 people have dined on average at White Castle each Valentine's Day.
What?
30,000.
Okay, to each its own.
To each his own.
I agree with Albert Grant in the comments, and he says White Castle is a laxative.
So assuming it's a laxative. So assuming, let's assume you do that for Valentine's Day. You take your boo to the White Castle. You got to expect you're not really going to get it on later. You're going to be in the bathroom. Is that what?
Yeah.
Is that?
I feel like that's what White Castle does.
Oh man,
if he's not having it, boo. That does not sound like fun.
For real, like imagine your dude taking you to White Castle on top of like.
How about this? How about this, Vanessa? We take you to White Castle for Valentine's Day. Get what you want. Go look at the menu. Feel free to order whatever you want. Take whatever you want. It's fantastic.
Order the whole menu.
Order the whole menu. It's on me because I'm that type of guy.
That would have been your last Valentine's together. That would be your last Valentine's.
You would get a cheeseburger right in your face just like that, right?
Exactly. Fellas out there, do not do this. It's a setup.
And by the way, if things don't go well at the White Castle, you could always kick it up a notch, by the way, and go to the Dunkin' drive-thru. They are also doing a Valentine's Day special. They want you to skip the chapel. They want you to skip City Hall and head right for the drive-thru window. And this is in Middletown, New York, where officiants from I Do Drive-Thru Weddings are going to legally marry people on the Marriage is on the Menu contest on February 12th. New York residents may enter this contest by posting a photo to Instagram with the hashtag Dunkin' I Do Contest, along with the reason they want to get married. And in addition to a unique and COVID-safe drive-through wedding, lucky couples are going to receive a $500 cash free wedding photography and a gift basket with Dunkin' wedding merch. So if you want to get married on the 14th, and by the way, Yo-Yo and Vanessa, there is a backlog to get married in New York to get licenses right now, 5-6 weeks. I know people who want to get married, file for their green cards. What better way than going down to City Hall? Go enter the contest. Go to Dunkin', hashtag Dunkin' I Do Contest. Go enter it. You'll get married at the drive-thru on the 14th. And trust me, if you bring all your photos from the Dunkin' I Do Contest to your adjustment interview, I doubt an immigration officer is going to say, oh, this is a bogus marriage. These guys went and got married at the Dunkin' Donuts window through a contest.
Yo,
Wow.
I mean, to each his own. I can't, and I take back the White Castle.
You take
It's
it
just
back.
not my style.
Because
but to each his
30,000
own.
people say it's their style.
30,000 people,
Wow.
okay. Listen, Albert Grant has a good idea and a jelly donut for a ring, So,
Right.
I mean, I guess
right.
it's creative.
Right.
You go ahead, live your life.
May as well at that point.
Okay. Now in South Dakota, because this is our Hump Day Valentine's Day special. In South Dakota, a recent inoculation ended with a marriage proposal. Is that very romantic? Getting a vaccine and a marriage proposal at the same time? Well, it happened in South
so.
Dakota. You think that's a unique way to get married?
Yeah.
2021 thing.
Yeah, I guess so. Eric Vanderlee. He is a registered nurse from Canton, South Dakota. He went to administer the COVID-19 vaccine to his boyfriend, Robby, an E.M.S. supervisor. But he was met with a welcome surprise waiting up Robby's left sleeve, an engagement ring. Vargas, who had taped an engagement ring to the top of his arm, proposed to Vanderlee on December 23rd and received an emotional yes, and then got his COVID shot anyway by his fiancée.
I think that's
And
a
back
cool
to
way.
business.
Now,
I mean, like,
oh, here it is.
engagements are supposed to be memorable. I think this is a great way.
Well, it went viral, so their engagement definitely went viral. Vargas said, "It's been kind of a crazy year. It's been a fun ride to have you in my life." What do you think about that?
I think I'm here for that.
Do you dream
Now
about?
that's better.
Do you dream about how to get engaged? How you would get engaged, Vanessa? I assume one day you would want to get married. Do you want like a really special crazy marching band, and you're walking down the street and all of a sudden 50,000 people are doing a dance right in front of you, like some flash mob or
Like
something.
a flash mob.
Yeah, like a flash mob, at the subway station. Do you envision that or do you just give me the ring, or you don't even want a ring, just go get married?
I used to think I wanted a really dramatic engagement, but then all I know is that I just want it to be documented. I just want to be able to play back my reaction. It doesn't have to be something huge. It could be something private, but I just want it to be recorded so that I can play it back and remember that it happened. That's the only thing I ask.
Okay, so you just basically need an iPhone. Or Sam,
Right. I mean, the way that I'm set up, I'm big on content, and my boyfriend definitely knows that. So a drone, a
Something.
secret
Right.
photographer.
something.
We have interns, a bunch of different things can happen. I just need to have the great content afterwards.
Got it.
That is all.
Got it. You need to project it to the world.
Exactly.
That is all.
I hope
Right.
he's watching. I hope he's watching this.
Yeah, I hope so too. Maybe he'll get some ideas.
No
Drone.
deal.
She's asking for a drone. All right,
Surprise
go back and play that.
photographer.
I hope he watches. I need a bunch of interns there taking videos all over the place, plus a drone.
It.
Boss lady has spoken. Meanwhile, in Britain, of course, this would happen in Britain. 1/3 of British singles recently admitted in a survey that they confessed their love to someone they met online before they actually met them. Have you ever said "I love you" to somebody before you met them? Or has anyone ever told you "I love you" before they met you?
When social media first came out, instant messenger, AOL or AIM, AOL instant
AIM.
messenger.
Yeah.
When everybody had sidekicks, you're meeting people all over the world. You're young, and then you find somebody that you talk to every day. That's definitely happened when I was younger, but definitely not when I was older. But they still have that show Catfish, so people out there getting
Right.
engaged without even meeting.
Well,
so.
you personally, I think, on this day and age of dating online, you should always, at least, unless you're going to just meet around the corner somewhere and it's just really simple, you should always be FaceTime or video chat or something. You should see the person physically.
Yeah.
But the world we're living in right now, a lot of different ways. People are just connecting through a simple text message, like Yo-Yo is saying. I don't know. I fear sometimes the substance in the word love.
Did you ever date online, Yo-Yo? You ever like put,
Date online,
like, like Tinder or, one of those dating app things?
No,
you don't do that.
I'm more of
No,
like a
Dr.
face-to-face.
Love has enough love.
He has enough
Dr.
love.
Love doesn't need those gadgets. It's
Right.
just an overwhelming, it's he just attracts it. That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
that just takes up memory on my phone.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.